on you.
Right now at 4, the Israeli military stepping up attacks against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. It's in retaliation for the Palestinian militant group's brutal terror attack just last week. Thanks for joining us at 4. I'm Brent Solomon.
And I'm Kay Quinn. The U.S. Secretary of State is in Israel pledging support to the Israeli Prime Minister. While in Washington, more aid to Israel hangs in the balance until a new House Speaker is elected. NBC's Alice Barr reports from Capitol Hill.
As the war intensifies in the Middle East, Israel is preparing for a potential ground invasion of the Gaza Strip, vowing to destroy the Hamas militant group that's still firing rockets. Secretary of State Antony Blinken in Israel meeting with the Prime Minister and underscoring U.S. support.
As long as there's the United States, Israel will never be alone.
Secretary Blinken seeing new images of the atrocities committed by Hamas terrorists and meeting with survivors, pleading for help to bring hostages home.
First priority are our friends and family that are now in Gaza.
The Biden administration vowing support for the hostages, which include American citizens. At least 27 Americans now among the devastating death toll of both Israeli and Palestinian civilians as the humanitarian crisis in Gaza grows under a barrage of Israeli airstrikes and with access to food and fuel cut off.
And it makes you very scared of your own life.
Secretary Blinken saying he and Prime Minister Netanyahu discussed how to minimize civilian casualties and provide safe passage for those who want to leave, including Palestinian Americans.
Hamas continues to use civilians as human shields.
Starting tomorrow, the U.S. government arranging charter flights to get American citizens out of Israel. While in Washington, House Republicans are scrambling to get the speakerless chamber back in working order and ready to approve more aid for Israel. Majority Leader Steve Scalise won his party's nomination for Speaker, but hasn't locked in the support for a full House vote. Political drama against the backdrop of war, terror, and grief. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is now set to head to Israel tomorrow as Secretary Blinken carries on to Jordan to speak with leaders in the region about how to ensure the conflict doesn't spread. From Capitol Hill, Alice Barr, NBC News.
Any moment now, a Metro East couple is expected to arrive home after being trapped in Israel. Danny and Carmen Rowe were visiting the country with their church group when the attacks began. Their daughter tells 5 on Your Side her parents eventually caught a flight out of Tel Aviv, but have faced a long journey home with layovers in Greece, Germany, and France. You can read the very latest on the Israel-Hamas war on KSDK.com. For a link to our stories, just text the word Israel to 314-425-5355.
We're working to learn more about a deadly overnight shooting in Pine Lawn. The North County Police Cooperative says someone shot a man just before 1 this morning near Jennings Station Road and Stratford Avenue. He ran through a neighborhood before he collapsed. So many people were on scene, police had to call for assistance to handle the crowd. Officers have not identified the victim or a suspect.
Right now, this man is in custody for shooting a volunteer football coach during a practice. Daryl Clemens is charged with assault and armed criminal action. Police say he shot Shaquille O'Shea at Sherman Park Tuesday after an argument. O'Shea is expected to be okay. Dozens of kids witnessed the shooting. None of them were injured. Clemens later turned himself into police. Missouri State Auditor Scott Fitzpatrick is launching an investigation into the St. Louis City Justice Center.
And this news comes on the same day that Mayor Tashara Jones announced a permanent Director of Public Safety. Our Christine Byers broke the news about this investigation earlier today. She's live at City Hall now with the very latest. Christine.
Brent and Kay, that's right. For the first time in her 2.5-year administration, Mayor Tashara Jones has a permanent public safety director. And one of his first orders of business is going to be responding to those allegations that the auditor is now investigating. Former Fire Department Commander Charles Coyle stepped up as interim public safety director in January when Dan Isom stepped down. Jones said she would conduct a national search and name a permanent hire within 3 to 6 months. Today, 10 months later, she says Coyle is the man for the job. Her office also says it will comply with the auditor's investigation into allegations of wrongdoing at the city's jail, which now permanently falls under Coyle's watch. Coyle says he has made progress on improving conditions at the city's jail, and he's hired more 911 dispatchers.
We're in a full court press when it comes to 911. We're meeting weekly. We're taking the pulse of what's taking place with interviews, hiring, and training.
Now, coming up at 6, I'll bring you more of what Coyle had to say in response to those allegations that the auditor is now investigating. Live outside City Hall, Christine Byers, 5 on your side.
There's a call for volunteers this weekend in Glasgow Village. Earlier today, the Urban League discussed the public event known as Cleanup Build-Up. Volunteers are needed to help remove overgrowth and debris around the park. Others will help install motion cameras and ring doorbells and hand out free gun locks. The Cleanup Build-Up event begins 8 a.m. Saturday at Glasgow Village Community Center. That is on Shepley Drive.
All right, let's go ahead and see if we can get a live look over downtown St. Louis. There you have it. A warm, breezy afternoon across the bi-state, but don't get used to that heat. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cano now with the Weather First forecast.
You know, as Jim was saying earlier today, we are tracking some cooler temperatures as we head towards the weekend. And yes, some unsettled weather as well. But at the moment, we have bright skies around St. Louis for sure. Looking out into St. Charles, there's been very little in the way of cloud cover around today. Traffic's rolling along on Interstate 70 with no problems. We're close to 80 degrees in most spots right now. So it's been a very warm afternoon, breezy as well. The kids are having a blast over at the Kirkwood Farmers Market, enjoying it. And, you know, if we had audio from that, you'd hear all that cackling laughter from the kiddos. Well, our next weather system, nothing to laugh about. It's a stronger storm system spinning across parts of Nebraska and Kansas. There's even been some severe weather up into Nebraska. I think we're going to miss severe opportunities going into tomorrow, but this system is going to give us some showers and rumbles of thunder and a good deal of wind as we head into the weekend. So for this evening, it's a warm, breezy evening. Showers become likely early on Friday. There'll probably be a break during the early to mid-afternoon before another round of showers and some thunderstorms slide on through. After that, the colder air gets here. We'll time that out for you in just a few minutes, Kay.
All right, we'll see you then. Thank you, Scott. We are just hours away from the very first game of the year for our St. Louis Blues. They open the 2023-24 season on the road against the Dallas Stars. The Note are looking to rebound after missing the playoffs last season. Puck drops at 7 p.m. The Blues' home opener is at Enterprise Center, set for this Saturday.
All right. Well, still ahead, losing a loved one to an overdose. Why the Drug Enforcement Administration is in our area, helping families heal.
They can be the single tie keeping someone in an abusive home. Why a women's shelter will soon have a kennel on the property.
And 25 years ago tomorrow, the former president of the Soviet Union visited St. Louis. His message to young people that still rings true today.